We go. First battalion made up completely of humanoid robots, all lined up, ready for inspection. Raw 01, give me a salute.
Did you just see those robots? How about this one? The same people who just voted overwhelmingly to bury their own sexual misconduct files, the same people who scream about the Epstein files but protect their own, are the ones building an army of autonomous machines. They sell this by saying it saves American lives. It saves American soldiers' lives overseas. Literally, this is what they're claiming. But as a veteran, let me ask you a real fucking question. What happens when we disagree at the home front? When you remove the human element from the military or law enforcement, you remove the consequences. You remove the soldier who might say, no, I'm not doing that to my own people. A machine doesn't question a corrupt order. A machine doesn't have a moral compass. It just follows programming. They are building a system that protects the elite and removes the human barrier between their power and our freedom. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is time to wake the fuck up.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings be unto the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe, in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. This is the Baba Yakanan from the GMS England branch. Now, as you just seen in that very short clip, you had these robot soldiers, which I'm pretty sure, judging from, the clip, that was probably an AI generated video. However, we know that these machines, these robots, military grade robots, are actually real. Okay, it's not a thing of fiction. This is actually something that they have. This is something that they plan to utilize more and more in these last days. And this is something that the wicked of our people are going to suffer the wrath of, all right? Because this is part of Esau Edom's, weaponry, all right? When we go back to the book of Genesis, Jacob and Esau, what was Esau's blessing, all right? Esau's blessing was and is the sword, okay? And this is part of his sword. This is part of his blessing of, destruction, all right? The scriptures tell us in Romans, the 9th chapter, that concerning the wicked, that their vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, okay? So Esau has the ability to create, these weapons of mass destruction, these cruel, instruments, because it's part of his blessing, all right? Psalm 73 tells us that violence covereth him, as a garment, okay? So when you're dealing with, the wicked, the elites of Esau Edom, you're dealing with a violent and a bloody man, as the scriptures, calls him. Now check this out. It says robot soldiers ranging from quadrupedal drones and weaponized UGV platforms to advanced AI-controlled humanoids are rapidly transitioning from science fiction to active deployment, okay? So this is not science fiction anymore, all right? You would see these things, in Terminator, sci-fi movies, so on and so forth, but this is actually reality. They actually have these robot soldiers stored up and ready for action, when the time is right. Okay? And that's why, when we go to let's get it right quick. When we go to the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 1, let's read this right quick. It says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." All right, so this is why the scriptures warn us of a time like never before since there was a nation, because the end is really going to be something that no one's ever experienced before. All right, since the beginning of time, this destruction, the trials and tribulation, all right, the hell that's going to be unleashed in these last days is going to be unheard of. All right, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is about to fully show, his wrath upon the wicked, being Esau, Edom, and also the wicked of our people. Okay, 2/3 in the land of America of our people are going to be destroyed. Okay, and the scriptures also tell us in I believe it's Amos the 5th chapter, all the wicked of my people shall fall by the sword. So the wicked of our people are going to be they're going to succumb, to the sword, of the wicked. All right, and we know that the sword of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right, is who? Esau, Edom. So the Lord is going to allow, the wicked to punish the wicked of our people. Okay? And this is why, through the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, we persuade men, because we don't want to be subject to this wrath and to all of this mayhem and control chaos, that's coming in these last days. Okay? Now let's go back to this this AI information. It says here recent deployments and deployments. It says humanoid testing. U.S. startups, notably Foundation Robotics, are actively testing humanoid soldiers. Their Phantom MK1 robot is designed for high-risk missions and has been deployed to the Ukrainian front lines for real-world field testing. All right, so this is actually, technology that's already been deployed. It's already been tested. All right, they're actually using it in, battlefield, scenarios and real-life situations. So again, this is not fiction. Okay, they can actually unravel, these machines in times of, martial law, in times of, civil unrest. Okay, and they will be unraveling everything they got in these last days in order to control the people and to beat you down into fear. Okay, it says China has demonstrated fully AI controlled robot armies featuring quadrupedal armed robots, robot dogs, paired with AI drone swarms and communicative and identify targets that communicate and identify targets with minimal human intervention. And if you notice, as of recent, you've been seeing a lot of videos concerning, these AI robots. And most of the time, they're showing you with added mirth, to the video. All right, so they might have a robot, dancing to Michael Jackson. All right, that one came out not long ago. And then at the end, it malfunctioned, which I believe, they do that on purpose, the whole malfunctioning, just to add, mirth and to have you not looking at it in a serious way. Okay, because they're really, having you acclimatize yourself to seeing, these robots and to get used to them, being around. Okay, and looking at them as harmless. But really, they're weapons of destruction, man. And there was another video that showed a robot dancing or doing some sort of routine, and it kicked a child in the audience in the stomach. Okay, and they look painful as well. So they're getting ready to unleash some real left hand technology in these last days, man. Again, this is going to be like a time like never before, upon the earth since there was a nation. Okay, these last days is not a joke. The kind of things that you're going to experience, the kind of things that you're going to see is going to be unfathomable. Okay, and it's all part of the wrath of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. All right, and that's the truth. So it says here, ground combat in Ukraine. It says facing severe rifleman shortages, both Ukraine and Russia rely heavily on unmanned ground vehicles, UGVs, and automated turrets in Ukraine, units utilize these machines to handle critical logistical supply lines. So that's what I really wanted to get, from this information, because this shows you that, these robots are actually in effect. Even though I believe that that clip in the beginning of the video is AI, well, those robots really do exist, and they really do have them, tucked away and ready for action, and really not even tucked away. They have them, roaming around. They have them as particular, forums and speakings, so on and so forth. All it takes is a flick of a switch to change this intent, and to just, have it, get violent. All right, but again, this is the age that we're living in. The age of AI, technology, the wicked devices, of Esau Edom and his inventions. Okay, so we're in a very heavy time. Now, from here, let's get of course, what's that? Ezekiel 21:9. This is Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 9, and it reads, "Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished." Okay, and again, Esau's blessing is the sword. Okay, and he is sharpening, that sword. But really, it's Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that is programming this devil and giving him the ability, to sharpen that sword, for the Lord's judgment. Okay, because again, to quote our king, King David, the wicked, which is thy sword. All right, the wicked is the sword of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And through, the left-hand side, the Lord is going to execute a lot of judgment upon our people that ain't right. All right. Now it says it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? Right. This is not a thing of, laughter. This is not a thing of mirth. This is a very, very serious time that we're about to head into, upon the earth. And Esau is going to pull everything he possibly has in order to try and maintain grip, on this kingdom, which is feeble. Because as the prophecy states, the wicked is going to be destroyed, and the wicked is going to be removed from their power seat. Okay? And there's nothing the wicked can do about that. But the Lord is going to have them put on a show. All right? Because prophecy must be fulfilled. And it says, "It contempteth the rod of my son as every tree." All right. So that's what I really wanted to get, just a brief video, bringing out that information. Lord willing, this video has been edifying. And until next time, I'll say shalom.